Hi everybody, this is Jill and this is Jill for Today. You know, we all have one of these, don't we? Well, a lot of us do. If you're watching this, you probably have one of these. This is probably the best thing I've ever bought for myself in my kitchen. And I use it, well, 2 or 3 times a week. But the thing that sometimes we don't do is we don't clean it. And so today I'm going to show you how to clean this, get it all spruced up. If you've got the holidays coming on, or you just have said, I can't take this anymore, I'm going to show you how to fix it. So we'll be back. Alrighty, I think the best thing to do is get your tools together first. Now, I recommend a little toothbrush. You know when you go to the dentist and they give you all those free toothbrushes? Hang on to them. And then I have some Barkeeper's, here we go, Barkeeper's Friend. This stuff is great for no matter what, but it works beautifully on stainless steel. And of course, that's what the interior of our Instant Pot is. And a couple of, you know, cleaning rags, right? Towel, some paper towels to wash the interior of your pot, and just some good soapy water, and that's about all you need. So I'm going to get started on showing you the first few steps. All right, let's take the lid apart. That's a good way to start. Now, first of all, I don't need to probably tell you this, but I'll tell you this. Make sure your pot's unplugged. You know, it's not going anywhere, but just make sure it's unplugged. Okay, so here's the lid. Now, first things first. We're taking the ring off. Now, I don't know how old your ring is, but seriously, if it's time to go, it is time to go. I think they're only, well, they're under $10. I think you can get 2 of them almost for close to $10. They smell, they get stretched out. You know, they probably don't hold as great as a seal as they did at one time. Sometimes they crack, which luckily I've never had mine crack, but they do crack. So that baby's going out and a brand new one is coming in. Here, a brand new one is coming in. Okay, so then let's move on. You have the, you know, this is kind of your foam catcher. You know, if you had a lot of stuff coming out through your hole there, this would catch it. But we want to take it off because we're going to clean it. And then here is the float right here. You know this. Now, what you need to do is hold your finger inside that hole, right there, that hole there. And we're going to pop this little gasket off. Now, you can buy those, but you don't want to lose it. You know, you don't want to drop it down the sink. Let me get up real close so you can see it there. You don't want to drop it down the sink. You don't want to lose it on the floor. The dog, you know, you don't want the dog to eat it. So take this off and put it in a very safe spot. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to put it right up on my counter. And then, of course, this will just, that float will just pop out because there's nothing inside the pot to hold it. And again, this is something else you don't want to lose. You can buy them. In fact, what I found out, interestingly, which I didn't know, is that this has a lifetime warranty. Now, I think probably just wear and tear on these little gaskets, but it talked about how this Instant Pot piece has a unlimited warranty. I'm not sure what part of it is unlimited, but I doubt this little gasket is. So we're going to put those aside. We don't want to do anything with this. This just stays intact. Don't want to do anything with that. This is our little turn knob, you know, you seal and not seal, so we want to remove that. This also is replaceable. Now, I don't know how many of you saw my video when I had this in my pot as the pot was heating up, and it did melt it. It melted on this side. This is just a really hard silicone or something, and I could replace this, but it has not done anything to the value of that. So I'm not going to replace that. But if yours was really, you know, funky, you might want to replace it. Okay. So here's the lid. We've got it all broken down. And we're going to move that aside because then we're going to work on the lid and the pot here. And we're just going to dismantle it and then put it all back together. Here's the pot, of course. Let me move that here. Here's the pot. Now, you know, I take pretty good care of it, but you see that modeling. You know, you can see that in there. If you have an Instant Pot, you know that it gets kind of a rainbow finish on it, or you'll have little speckles down there where your beans cooked. And, you know, it can be clean, but it can be almost brand new shiny. Now, if you have a lot of scratches, you know, from spoons, that sort of thing, of course, you're not going to get rid of that, but we're going to clean that. Going to clean the bottom, although my bottom looks pretty darn good, doesn't it? Okay, and then we're going to clean this. We're going to get in here with a nice hot rag, and we're going to clean all that, and we're going to clean the exterior. So I got to get that right there. Okay, so we're going to be back and we're going to get started on all these little steps that are going to make our Instant Pot so pretty. So the first thing I'm going to do is clean my pot. And I just put some water in it. And I'm going to put a little bit of this Barkeeper's Friend in there, and I've just got a moist paper towel, and I'm just going to, you know, you don't have to scrub hard unless you've got something horrible in there. You just need to give it a good polish. Okay, make sure you get around that, you know, in that little curve there. Sometimes buildup can get in there. And up around usually where you have your full, you know, where you had your most full items regularly, you might have a little ring up there. So we're just gonna wipe that out like so. And I'm gonna rinse it and then we'll be back. I've got this pot scrubbed out and I've got it rinsed. And I'm gonna dry it out here. We're going to take a look. All right, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Look at that. Ooh, shiny, shiny. Very nice. I'll dry that a bit more. Get all that moisture out of there. All right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And of course I said the bottom of mine is good shape. But if you had a lot of garbage on there, I would just go ahead and you know, do the same thing on the bottom. Little Barkeeper's Friend, and that'll take care of that. All right, let's take a look at the lid here. And I'm going to get my wet rag and go in here and just, you know, polish up. If you see stuff in, you know, you want to make sure always that your ring here, where your, you know, your gasket fits in that little channel, you always have to make sure that that's clean. And so I recommend anytime you cook, you know, you pull the ring off and take a look in there. And in fact, I wanted to mention that when I store my Instant Pot, there's a lot of people who say, you know, store the, and I used to do this, store your lid upside down so your pot has air going through it, so your ring doesn't smell up your pot. Well, what I have started to do, and it works really well, is after I've cleaned the pot, I will actually remove the ring and hang it somewhere so it has a chance to air dry, and you get some of that odor out of your ring. So that's what I do, and it works pretty well. Okay, so I've got the inside here nice and clean, and I'm going to turn it over here, and I think what I'm going to do is get myself, I make my own spray. I use it for everything. It's a little tiny bit of Dawn, you know, or dishwashing liquid, some water, about half water and half rubbing alcohol. And I use it for everything. I use it for everything. Mirrors, the floor, and of course it's super inexpensive. I just buy my big jugs of alcohol at the dollar store or Costco. Anyway, I'm just going to take my little water and rag here and just go through. You know, you're just kind of spiffing it up. You just want to make it look pretty. You use it all the time. You might as well give it a little love, huh? All right. See, that looks nice. It's kind of shiny, pretty. You got all the garbage off it if there was garbage on the outside of it. Okay, let's do the pot itself. Now, in here, you don't want to go crazy in there. You know, I mean, it's your electric, it's your base that does your heating, but you could certainly, like I'm doing this right now. Let me see if I can hold it up for you so you can see. There's some stuff in there that is coming off, you know. My goodness, if you, I'm sure I haven't, knock on wood, done this yet, but I know there's a lot of people who have actually thrown food by accident. They thought their liner was in there and they threw their rice or their wet ingredients or whatever in there, and I don't know whether you have to replace the whole pot or what you have to do, but we want to stay away from doing that, don't we? All right, so I got the bottom there done. As I said, I don't want to be too brutal with it, and then I'm just going to clean the inside. So we don't do this all the time. I don't, and it's just something that, you know, needs to be done. Okay, and then these little channels here, this is where the toothbrush comes in. You can get in here with your little toothbrush and just start working that stuff out of there. Right, get the loose out and anything that might be stuck on. And give it a good little bang upside down there. That's what I do. All right, and then I would take, again, see a little in there, still a little tiny bit in there. And then with my handy dandy little rag that I have been using, just put a little of this on there and run it through that channel as best you can. You can get under there. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, but let's get in there as best we can. So I put this here so you can see. All right, it's looking pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, it's looking pretty good. All right, now this is the condensation cap. There we are, on the bottom of this. Quite honestly, I have never had to clean this, never. I'm not sure what will create that getting a lot of condensation. I don't know whether if you had a lot of overflow, you know, from too much in your pot, or you were trying to quick release pot, you know, beans or rice and it just goes everywhere. I've never had to clean that. But if it's dirty, pull it off just like that. Some soap and water, dry it, and then it just pops right back into place. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to then take some of my spray and I'm just going to clean the outside. In fact, I'm going to move you out just a little bit. I think you might be a little too close. There we go. That's probably better for you now. And I'm going to just go over. See, there's more of that stuff in there. I'm going to bang it out there. Nope, not going to get that out, am I? Okay, I will work on that later. Anyway, so I just clean the outside, clean the gauges, your panel here. All right. Underneath there shouldn't be anything. If there is, I certainly would wipe it off. But my bottom, my pot is clean. But I go around this black band here. All right, so the pot is clean. And we're going to put it back together. Let's get started on this. Now, remember my float. Now I'm going to bring you back in so you can see better. Okay, there you are. Okay, so here's my float, right? Remember this little baby? We're going to stick it back in the hole, right? And you're going to put your finger on that again, or your little float here won't stick up for you. And here's my little valve, my little gasket there. And they're a little tricky to pop on there, but there we go. That worked pretty well. Okay, so that's in there. And now I'm going to put the ring on. Now, of course, if you've changed out rings, you know that the new ones are kind of stiff. You know, you're going to have to work at it a little bit. And how I do it is I just work slowly around, pushing that in that channel to make sure it is down in there. Because if it isn't, you won't have a good seal. You haven't got a good seal, you won't get any pressure. Okay, then this is what I do. I first of all I'll look to make sure it's down in that bottom groove there, and then I just kind of go through and just pull on it just a little bit to make sure that it's seated in there well. Okay, and then I'm going to put my guard back on. If it had needed to be cleaned, I would have gone in there, probably with it, mine didn't because I clean it all the time. But what you would do is you'd go in there with some soap and water, and this brush is a wonderful thing because it really cleans out all of those grooves and little holes. And so you'd scrub that with some hot soapy water, scrub, rinse it, dry it, and then that's just going to pop right back on there. So guess what? Your lid is done. You're going to put your pressure on. See there? Look at that. Your lid is done. And then I'm going to bring my pot back in. How nice and clean is my pot? Very. Turn this around so you can see the outside of it. I'm going to put my very nicely cleaned pot liner in there. And here is my grate and I can't do it backwards. There it is. All right. So remember what we looked at the very beginning of this video? It was dirty, it needed work, it needed a new ring, and it is beautiful and clean and shiny and ready to give me a lot more years of great cooking pleasure. Now, all the parts that I've used the ring and the cleaner, the barkeeper's friend, all those things, I'll put a link to down below in the description box. And I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment and I'll be happy to answer it. But that's how you clean an Instant Pot and put it all back together. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you tell your friends, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.